Phyllis welcomes award-winning author, singer, and transformational leader Cynthia James on Profonde TV. Her newest book is I Choose Me, The Art of Being a Phenomenally Successful Woman at Home and at Work.
Hi, Cynthia. I am so thrilled to have you as a guest. Really welcome.
Thrilled to be here, Phyllis.
You're a best-selling author. You've written a magnificent book, I Choose Me, The Art of Being a Phenomenally Successful Woman at Home and at Work. You've written other books. Why this particular one?
You know, I do a lot of work with women. And until the early 1900s, women were property. And I think that what's happening in this day and age is that women are emerging. They're finding their voices. They're learning that as a collective, we can stand together. They're learning that we have a right to be respected and honored and our gifts to be uplifted. And so the only way that happens, though, is when you put yourself first. And we're not enculturated that way. We're taught, take care of everybody else, then get to you. But what I know is that when you put yourself first, when you choose yourself, you lift the vibration of everything and everyone around you.
I'm sure there are people listening to that saying, isn't that selfish? Isn't that inappropriate?
Yeah, and that's how women have been conditioned. But no, because listen, if you take care of yourself first, you're healthier, you're more vital, you're clearer, you're more focused, you're stronger, and you have the ability to bring your gifts in a way that doesn't happen when you're exhausted and depleted.
Well, there's an argument for that, but you say that we're enculturated this way. How do you learn to put yourself first, to choose me, as you say?
Well, you know what? Practice. Change the dance with people and they won't love it because we teach people how to treat us. And so it's really about getting clear within yourself. If everything's energy and what we transmit attracts, then the stronger and the more powerful you are, the stronger, more powerful people and experiences that you'll call in. That's the good news. The interesting news is some people will fade away, and that's what we're afraid of. I don't want to lose you. I don't want you to leave because I'm shining and you think I'm too much. But the truth is, if somebody can't hang in your too muchness, they don't belong.
Well, let's get specific because I want to make sure, because some of that is a broad stroke. I mean, I would think that, what do you mean by too muchness? That's really what I'm trying to get at here.
You're too bold. You're too loud. You're too, you're trying to stand out too much. I work with a lot of women. I coach a lot of women, and it's like they pull back their energy. They don't want to be visible. They don't want to be too bright because they don't want people judging them. And I'm like, step up, step out, risk, bring it. Because if you don't, you're depriving someone or a group of people of the gifts that only you can deliver.
I won't name any names, but I've taken courses. You and I share a lot of the same interest in transformation. I've taken courses where they say the male ego requires us to be a little bit supportive and quiet and less bold around the male ego. What do you say to that?
Fully. It's just like, you know what? It's like, we can be supportive. We can be loving. But why does that require pulling back your energy? Why should anybody be required to pull back their energy? I feel like, why not all of us bring the best? All of us bring our high energy. All of us bring our intelligence and then collaborate together so that the masculine and the feminine, which we all have a part of, then we get to soar. And, maybe we wouldn't be seeing some of the interesting things on the planet we're witnessing.
Well, okay, so you're saying that, again, those that can't take it might fade away. Now, you seem to have some thoughts about women having power at home and at work. Is that really possible to have power in both of those circumstances? If you're a married woman with children, is that a reasonable thing to think, that you can have it all?
Yeah. Now, the thing is that you have to have a partner that's willing to grow with you. You have to have a partner that's willing to recognize you and see you and honor you. I mean, my husband and I have been together 23 years. And prior to that, I kissed a lot of frogs thinking they were going to be princes because I married their potential, or I lived with their potential, or whatever. But from the moment Carl saw me, he knew who I was. And that was like, I didn't even know how to deal with it because it was so rare. And to this day, it's still the same. When I have moments of doubt, or, or I'm like confused or whatever, and he's like, oh no, you've always done it. I mean, he's like so clear about who I am and where I'm going. And so I can do the same for him. And I think that that's what partnership is, whether it's a marriage or someone you're dating or a business person. It's like, can you see each other's gifts and raise them up?
You mentioned practice, practice, practice. Is this an evolutionary process to get to the point that you're at, or can it happen suddenly?
Both.
Okay.
It's evolutionary. I mean, the moment I recognized that I shut myself down, and I was probably one of the greatest chameleons ever known. I date somebody or I'm married to somebody and I change to what they like. But the real me, the essence of me would start to come out, and then that would create conflict, right? And so once I realized it's better to bring my authenticity, when I met Carl, I was at that place in my life. And that was the good news. The interesting news is that it wasn't always polished and it wasn't always graceful, and I have a warrior woman within me. And he's got a warrior man. And sometimes they would jump into the space together. But we did a lot of work to learn to communicate, because that was one of the things I said I wanted. I wanted people in my life that were willing to do the work, that were willing to step into the fire and see each other and honor each other. And I think what we're seeing on the planet right now and in our country right now is people afraid to step into the fire together because they disagree. Or they're seeing things from different perspectives. And so I think once you get clear about who you are, there can be, an instantaneous shift, but the practice happens with people, because you can be ever so grand in your mind.
So the more you step out, the better you'll get at this. The more you put yourself on the line or go forward, you'll have a result. So, let's go back to some of the societal expectations. Women are meant to take care of the children. Women are meant to take care of the elderly in the family. It's usually not the man. If there are brothers and sisters and the mother is ill, it's the woman that ends up doing this job. Are you suggesting that we need to re-examine some of these societal expectations?
Yeah. What about partnership? When you decide to have a baby, both people are having the baby. It's not, okay, you have the baby and now you have all the responsibility for the self-care of the baby. The children need the masculine and the feminine. They need to see and experience both. And so, I think that role stuff, it doesn't just flow at home. It flows in work. I think it was Harvard that did this business study about women and how they're perceived and how they pull back their energy. Men see the women as being brash and too bold and too convoluted and too emotional. And the women are like, I'm only one in a room, a boardroom, and they're not listening to me, or they cut me off, or they, and so the thing is that the roles that look like I'm taking care of the kids and I should be the one who acquiesces and submits goes into the boardroom. And it's like, why can't we all bring our brilliance? Why can't we all bring our gifts and nurture the child or the business? Why does it have to be somebody on top and somebody below?
I think we have to examine this deeper, because I think some men are, in fact, worried that they are losing their position in life. What is it for men to gain when women, in fact, get their power in the way you're speaking about it?
Loving, nurturing, support, wholeness, communication, heart-centric dialogue. I think that they're afraid of losing it because it was presented to them from birth as a power state. But the truth is that when you are in partnership and in collaboration, which I really think is the model of what's emerging here, when you're in that state, then everybody gets to bring it. Everybody gets to speak and be heard, and nobody has to withdraw or withhold their energy so that someone else feels good. It's like Gay and Kathleen Hendricks in that book, Conscious Loving, said, tell the microscopic truth. Learn to do that in relationship, and everything opens. And I think that that's what men get. That's what women get. We get to be in a field of authenticity unlike anything we've ever seen before.
You have not just a great deal of power, since I've heard you speak and I've seen you perform. You bring excellence to your life. I want to know a little bit about your personal discipline. You're a singer. You teach spiritual work and movement. Talk a little bit about how you got to this place, what brought you to the arts, how you use them, and how we can learn from them.
So I was abused as a kid. There was a lot of violence in my childhood. My biological father was an alcoholic. My stepfather was a pedophile, and 5 generations of women who had been abused and traumatized. And so that was the norm. And so when I got old enough to understand that I was recreating the patterns of my family, then that I was the common denominator, I had to do something for me. So I went into therapy, and I went to school, and, a degree in spiritual psychology and all this stuff. But what I learned is that most of the time when you're doing therapeutic work, it's with the head. It's like you're thinking and you're talking and you're processing, but the body part, it's like where everything's encoded kind of gets placed over there on the shelf. And I'm like, well, if creativity, if music talks to the heart, if movement allows the body to express energy, because my therapist said, you need to move, and a gym didn't call me. So I was walking, and then I started walking with music and drums. If you look at the research on drums, you will find that drumming balances both hemispheres of the brain, balances blood pressure, balances immune systems. And so I started saying, well, when I teach, what if I bring in drums? What if I bring in music? What if I bring in the mind-body connection so that people are having that whole experience? And then when I sing, it's like, they say in churches that when choirs sing, they're singing the prayer twice, right? I mean, it's so instead of just talking and teaching, what if I'm singing also so that it hits another layer of the person? And what I find is people respond to that from different perspectives.
You don't just do these things, you do them well. So would you say that you had to do do you have any special routine that allows you to do all of the things that you do? You've got best-selling books. You are more than a great singer. You are fantastic. And you move, you teach movement. So you must have some difficult schedule during the day. What's it look like?
My spiritual practice is a non-negotiable. I spend the first hour to an hour and a half of my morning meditating, reading, journaling, moving, just to open my body and get aligned. And I think that that's important. And you don't have to do it my way, but I think spending time with yourself every day and attuning to yourself allows you to hear your inner guidance and your intuition and to be able to act on it. And you spoke about excellence. So excellence is one of my values. And so whatever I'm working on, it's like I have to be 100% committed. It has to light me up. I have to be passionate about it. And it has to be an absolute clear thing that I will do to completion, and I will do it well, so that everybody that receives one of my products, it's the way I would want to receive a product.
So it's a core value for you, excellence. It's something that you take deeply. But what about time management? Do you have any special tips for getting everything done?
Yes. So about 7 or 8 years ago, my adrenals went completely crazy because I was working in a large spiritual community. I was speaking, I was teaching, I was doing all this stuff. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, your adrenals are headed towards failure and you need to quit your job. And I'm like, I can't quit my job. And he said, well, quit your job, quit your life, right? And I'm like, oh, this is serious, right? So I took a sabbatical. And during the sabbatical, I got that my whole identity was in what I did, what I produced. And that my deep desire to give and to serve is wonderful. And I've got to find time to choose me, to love me, to nurture me. So now what happens in my life is I have an office, and I see in-person coaching clients on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Wednesdays, I'm home and I do virtuals. And then when I speak, I schedule around that. There's always a date night with my husband. There's always time for the gym and my trainer. There's always time for massages and spa things because they feed my soul. So I calendar them. And one of the things I tell people I coach is like, that calendar is for you too. It's not just for everybody else. And so I put me and my husband on first.
This is just divine. I think when I get to talk to an author who lives what they preach, it's so satisfying to me because it's not the norm. People write these extraordinary books, but when you really look closely, they are not telling their own lives. You are living what you wrote about. I choose me.
Well, thank you. And you know what? I'm in my 3rd trimester of life, and I plan to be here a while. And I know that if you do not take care of yourself, then you get to leave in interesting ways. And so there was a man who wrote a book called Younger Next Year, and then he wrote one, Younger Next Year for Women, right? And it was all about the fact that exercise is something that you have to do. You have to nurture your body. You have to nurture your mind. And I guess it's like, I feel like I can pretend that I'm an expert, or I can live what I talk about.
You do live it. I am delighted with you, Cynthia. We are talking with Cynthia James. She's the author of I Choose Me, The Art of Being a Phenomenally Successful Woman at Work and at Home. At home and at work. I guess I put the work first. That's interesting, Freudian flip. So I'm going to learn too, Cynthia. I recommend this book. I recommend you paying attention to Cynthia James. Thank you so much. And I look forward to more conversations with you. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Phyllis, for the great work you're doing.
Cynthia also brings out her great work in song and prayer.
There are times in our life we give up the fight, we sit down and cry, we let life pass us by. Keep on, look at the past, things that just didn't last. We gave up too fast, we chose to let it all go. Just listen your heart burning, your mind is learning to let go. Be in the flow, then you will know who you really are. Who you really are. Just listen.
I'm Cynthia James, and I have a deep belief that prayer is a powerful tool. Join me in a prayer of clear leadership. I give thanks in this moment that we are coming together to lift up leadership everywhere. Leadership in our families, leadership in our careers, leadership in our governments, leadership in every aspect of life on this planet. We're calling forth clarity and a willingness to understand that we are interconnected as humanity. And so clear leadership is about choosing the people, choosing the health, choosing the well-being, choosing the abundance for all. Absolutely lifting up the awareness that as we work together, amazing things transpire on this planet. And so I am grateful for every leader who has opened their hearts and is aware that in this moment, love is the answer to every question. Healing takes place because we honor and respect one another. I give thanks for this truth, and I just released this word. I know it is good, and clear leaders are coming forward in extraordinary ways, and so it is.
Surrender, let it go. Surrender, let it all go. All the fears and the doubts, all the pain. All the feelings of being outside. you know